And now it's time for The Late Show with your host, PattyJack.
How's it going, everyone? I'm that socially awkward gamer you probably forgot existed, otherwise known as PattyJack. Welcome to The Late Show with PattyJack. I'm joined by a very special guest today. He's the same guest that I had last time because my contact list isn't what it used to be. Ben, say hello and do your plugging if you have to.
I'm watching you.
Oh my god. I legitimately didn't expect that. Oh god.
How's it going, everybody?
Did you put your face right up to that microphone?
Maybe.
Like, Alright, so we're gonna talk about Fallout 4 today and probably touch on some Battlefront. I'm gonna warn everyone right now that this probably is gonna have some spoilers in it, so if you really don't want to be spoiled, I guess you're shit out of luck, because I don't care what you think. In all honesty, like, we're talking about Fallout 4, our experiences in it so far. This isn't going to be a review of it. This is just going to be what we want to talk about the game. So there's probably going to be spoilers. I'm sorry. It's my bad if I spoil it. It's Ben's fault if I spoil it as well, because it's his fault.
Okay.
Alright, that sounds good. Alright, so Ben, tell me about your experience in Fallout 4 so far.
So, I've got about 47 hours in the game so far, and from what I've played, I feel like Bethesda has definitely laid out a very good framework for the title as far as modding is concerned for the future years to come. The environment I've liked so far, the gunplay mechanics are absolutely spot on, especially compared to the previous titles in the franchise.
They're way better.
They are way better. But as I've played more of the game, I will say it's a very fun game. I don't regret my purchase. It's still a fantastic game, but I have noticed a lot of things going on with the game that I'll go into more detail as we progress, but I will say it with a one-sentence summary here. I feel like the game has become more of a shooter than an RPG.
Alright, so the first thing I want to touch on and get your opinion on is the questing system this time around, because in the last game, it was very, there were set quests, right? You were never doing the same thing over and over again. How do you feel about the inclusion of repeatable quests, kind of like in an MMO sense? So I know, like, World of Warcraft did that with their latest expansion, where you can do the same quests, like, day to day. How do you feel about adding those into the other quest systems in the game?
So, my experience with Fallout 4, if anyone here has played Skyrim, you'll know that Skyrim had a lot of really unique quests. It's what really defined the Elder Scrolls games for a lot of people. They did experiment a bit with Radiant questing, where you would talk to Jarl Balgruuf, or you would talk to somebody to get a quest, and they would send you off to some random cave to go kill the guys in there, where it wasn't a predefined quest, it was just something that was generated by the game, hence the term Radiant questing. That being said, it was a small amount of the available quests in the game, whereas with Fallout 4, it's felt like to me that it's become a lot more prevalent. I couldn't put a number on it. If I had to guesstimate, I'd say maybe a third of the quests that I've done have been Radiant.
Especially the Minuteman quests, eh?
Between the Minutemen, which you cannot, stop receiving when you talk to Preston.
Yeah, every time you do one.
Despite the other factions having the ability to ask for it first.
Yeah.
But in my experience, there's been a lot more Radiant questing, and to be honest, I don't feel like that's a good thing for the game.
You'll fail a lot of those quests if you don't do them, by the way. Like, if you don't do the Minuteman quests, yeah, you'll actually fail them, which is kind of disheartening, because I feel super bad. And the thing with the Minuteman quest is I keep trying to say, okay, I'm tired of doing these, but then it's like, oh, settlers are in danger. Well, okay, I guess I need to go save them. And it's gotten to the point where if I keep having to, like, clear out ghouls for Sanctuary all the time, right? And the only ghoul nests that I haven't cleared at this point are on the other side of the map. So they keep saying, oh, these ghouls are leaking out from this location, and it's over by Diamond City. And how do they... What? No. Game. If you're gonna do that, just like put a big strong monster in a random point in the map or something, you know? So it doesn't get really ridiculously useless after a while. I don't know, like, I hate that they keep giving you the same quests over and over again. I hate that we don't even get the option to not take any more of those quests, but I don't hate Radiant quests, it's just that they do get repetitive after a while. Speaking of repetitive, what do you think about getting the new settlements and the crafting system? Have you gone in depth with that at all?
Now, I will say I do kind of like the crafting system as far as weapon upgrades are concerned. In a way, I like it in the regard that you have to go out hunting for supplies, but at the same time, I feel like it's interesting from the regard that, for whatever reason, these weapon modifications aren't worth that much, because in New Vegas, weapon mods were a really big thing, and they could become really expensive.
Yeah.
I can understand why they wouldn't make them worth a lot, because you could just craft a bunch of these things really easily and then just get a ton of caps, which would mess with the in-game economy. Mm-hmm. But I think it's yet to see whether or not having these as in-game non-craftables that are worth money, or having them as craftables that aren't worth anything, is the best option. As far as the settlements are concerned, I actually haven't touched on it a whole lot. I feel like it's a decent framework.
It takes 3 hands to use, which is really stupid.
The controls are very bad currently, is what I've heard.
They are awful.
Another issue I've heard a lot of people having is that it's annoying that when you're trying to build stuff, it allows absolutely zero clipping whatsoever.
It depends. Sometimes it'll allow like a lot, I've found, and then other times it'll completely wig out when you try to put anything remotely close to something else. And one of the most annoying things I've found is that you can't put a pre-built house like on a lot and then put any type of store inside it. It won't let you place it anywhere, even if the store's not touching the roof. And you have to build an entire building from scratch in order to put a store inside a building. And I think that's kind of ridiculous, because a lot of the time I don't have enough scrap to do that, and it just takes way more time than it should. I should be able to just make a giant wooden box and put a store in there so that whoever's manning it isn't standing out in the rain the entire day.
Yeah, that is pretty ridiculous.
But, I mean, it'll probably be fixed with a mod. I don't know. Regarding the crafting, the one problem I'm having with it right now is it's so obvious it's incredibly OP. The crafting... Well, if you get certain, like, special weapons and then you add more things to them, it's God mode at that point, you know? I saw miniguns that do bleed damage, or do more damage the more time you hit something with that weapon. At that point, is it even fun, right?
Well, and yeah, I saw something where somebody had been using an automatic 10mm pistol with the 25 points of bleed damage per shot, and they just unloaded like 2 or 3 clips with an extended magazine into a Monarch Queen, and it was just down after that.
Yeah, I've seen fat mans that can shoot 2 at once and stuff. And while it's hilarious, it is absolutely hilarious. It gets to the point where nothing's a threat in the game. Use that thing and some power armor. It's not like even getting a stock 50 cal pretty much makes I don't need to use any other weapon unless they get super close range into me, you know? So I think the game has a lot of balancing issues, and I'm gonna be waiting. Even on survival difficulty, you can still, if you get one of those weapons, it's game over for anyone else, any NPC. And I'm just gonna be waiting until like the realism mods come out, or mods that kind of remove those guns. I mean, I just kind of choose not to use them, to be honest, because I want to have at least a bit of a challenge while I'm playing the game. How have you found the difficulty in general, though?
Now, as somebody who completed the entire game on the survival difficulty, it is bit. And let me explain why. Bethesda went a very lazy way, and to be honest, they've done this with their other games too, but that doesn't justify it. Their idea of increasing the difficulty is to just reduce the player damage and increase the enemy's damage by making them more powerful and making them bullet sponges. That's not how you make games more difficult. Now, here's the thing. Something that was done in some mods, such as Project Nevada and Fallout Wanderers Edition, is that it was a global damage modifier, where, yes, the enemy, let's say, enemies do 2 times more damage.
Yep.
Now I do 2 times more damage.
Yep.
I have to be careful, but enemies will go down just as easily as me, and that's one of the mods I downloaded. Enemies do 2 times damage, I do 2 times damage.
I'm really surprised that survival mode also didn't have any sort of food and water system in it. Because with this game, you're really getting the feeling that they took a lot of inspiration from, like, Steam Early Access survival titles. Especially with the crafting and stuff, right? So, in every Early Access game, it's, you have to survive and craft with the things you find. So they took this, they actually made it usable in a full-fledged game, which I think is the first time that that's ever happened. But there isn't any actual survival mode, which is weird because it might not have been the best in New Vegas, but I thought it was a welcome addition. Are you surprised that they didn't put that in?
I was actually feeling like it was a missed opportunity, though.
Yeah.
Something that I've kind of gotten the vibe of over the last few years is that Bethesda, I don't want to put it this way necessarily, but I feel like in almost a way that they want to avoid doing stuff the way that New Vegas did, even if New Vegas did it better, because it wasn't their work.
Yeah, it could be that. I thought you were going to say that they're just getting lazy, to be honest, and they're like, oh, the modders will do it.
Well, and I don't know, maybe it is that. I didn't get that vibe, but I feel like there's just a lot in the way of the RPG aspect that has been taken out from the game. The questing has become a lot more just go here and do blank. There's no gray area, there's not a lot of choice. Pretty much 9 times out of 10, you're the good guy in a situation, or you're just a good guy who's a dick about it with sarcasm.
I think that is a lot to do with having a voice main character as well. Because your character is, from the get-go, set up to be a good guy. You never really get that choice when, there's never a point where I could, sacrifice my wife or something. Like, as terrible as that sounds, if I want to roleplay a bad guy character, I'd do that, you know? And, I don't know. It's the same thing with Skyrim, too. I feel like if this game had another year and a half of development time, we'd have so much more to do, you know?
Ultimately, after release, having the voice character is nice, but I feel like a lot of the other aspects of the game had to be sacrificed because of it, so now that I've played the game for a fair bit of time, I feel like the voice protagonist was actually a bad choice, because it did limit the scope of what they could do with questing. It's going to limit the scope of how they do any downloadable content, because we'll have to have the voice character.
I really enjoy the voice character, actually, for my first playthrough, but I think as I go into more playthroughs and stuff, it's going to get a lot more tedious, so I'm going to have to, switch up my genders a lot more so I don't keep hearing the same things over and over and over again. And it just leaves you with less real choice. So, I'd like to point out, by the way, that throughout all of this, I still really like the game. Do you feel the same way?
Same here, yeah.
I love the actual gameplay. I think it's super solid. I think the characters are a hell of a lot better this time around. I actually really like all the followers. I love the new cutscene system they have. I think it's way better than zooming in on their faces, because they'll actually move around. And I think the first time I met Piper was the time where I was like, wow, these cutscenes are actually good. Because I got a sense of what her character was by the way she moved in the cutscenes. So I think that's a really big step up, and that's something that Bethesda has had to do for a long time.
Yeah, I think they did better on the followers this time around, because there are some followers that I like, and some of them that I just flat out don't like. I thought that
you're not really you're not in between on them, though.
There's some I might be in between on, but for example, I do really like Nick Valentine and Kate.
Yeah.
I'm kind of neutral about Dogmeat just because his AI is very messed up right now, where he'll consistently get in your way or walk away from you when you're trying to talk to him.
Did you see that GIF of when
he'll just activate so many traps?
Yeah. Like the GIF when he runs into all the traps on the guy?
Yep.
That's my favorite thing of last week.
I have not gotten strong yet, so I don't know how I feel about him, but I do dislike Piper. I find her annoying.
Really? I like her. She's my type of lady. I romanced her. Mostly because I hadn't met Kate yet. But
yeah. But no, I mean, they definitely did a lot better with followers this time around, so it's not just a case of, oh, well, I should get good karma so that I get the unkillable walking laser minigun super mutant machine.
yeah, I love that they don't have the karma system as it was before. The fact that you can actually choose the type of follower you want, and then it kind of bases like what you're gonna do while you're playing the game around that. Like, who is it? Is it Nick? Is it Valentine that doesn't like when you steal? I think it's him.
Well, I know Codsworth, or Cog is it Codsworth?
Yeah.
Cog or Codsworth?
Codsworth. No, it's CODS.
Is it? I thought Codsworth was the name of your follower in the last game in 3.
Oh, no, maybe I could be wrong. I don't know. Okay.
Well, anyway,
it's one of those.
The Mr. Handy. He doesn't like it when you do anything bad. So he doesn't like it when you take drugs. He doesn't like it when you steal, etc., etc.
Yeah, he's a stick in the mud.
Yep.
I think it's like Piper likes it when you lockpick.
So does Kate. Kate likes it when you lockpick.
The best follower I've found so far is actually McCready. Because
I haven't actually encountered him yet.
do you want me to spoil where he is so you can find him? I don't know.
Maybe save it for later, depending on your the people watching your video.
Yeah, that might. Okay, we're gonna do that. Okay, yeah. With him, the nice thing is, you know how when you talk to like Piper or something, she'll give you like sugar bombs or some type of snack, right? And then I think all of them give you something when you talk to them. It's like a little mini perk with them. McCready actually gives you ammo, which is really nice. And you also find out some stuff about his backstory that I'm not going to spoil, but it automatically makes him my favorite follower when you actually do his little quest line, a little more about him. So yeah, I'm not going to spoil it, but he's my favorite follower so far. I do know that his perk that you get from him is really OP, though. Have you heard about it at all?
I have not.
So I'm pretty sure his perk is along the lines of you always have a 95% headshot chance if you get it. If you get in his admiration all the way up. And,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. So people have been saying, like, yeah, this is it breaks the game. It absolutely does, because headshots are obviously 9 times out of 10 the most damaging thing. They're going to cripple their head, and it does a crap ton more damage. So, like, is the game even a game at that point? And, yeah, it goes back to the difficulty and the balancing and stuff. It's not... It's going to be fixed with mods, but they could have done a better job in the base game, I feel. Anyways, we're going to go on to a quick break. You're going to hear some amazing ads that I made all myself. So I hope you guys really enjoy them, because I put more effort into this than I have at college all year. So we're going to be right back after these messages.
Today's episode is brought to you by World of War Pets. Pilot dogs, cats, and canaries in this class-based MMO that was labeled too bloody for children under 22 years old. Pre-order the Blood Battle expansion pack to send thousands of small creatures to their deaths all at once. World of War Pets, now available on Mac, PC, iOS, Android, and Dreamcast. Holy shit.
It's always been your dream to guest on a podcast. Don't lie, I know it has. Well, you're in luck. I'm always looking for new guests on The Late Show with Patty Jack, so if you're a YouTuber, game developer, industry worker, or anyone else, feel free to get in contact. Those interested in guesting on The Late Show with Patty Jack can send an email to IAmPattyJack@gmail.com. That's IAmPattyJack@gmail.com. Do you hate cats? Patty Jack does. No kidding, that's a bad cat! That's why when you subscribe to I Am Patty Jack, you are guaranteed a 100% cat-free zone. Don't let those feline get you down. Subscribe to I Am Patty Jack today and show them who's boss. Because cats are assholes. Play me off, keyboard cat. Do you hate cats? Patty Jack does. No kidding, that's a bad cat! That's why when you subscribe to I Am Patty Jack, you are guaranteed a 100% cat-free zone. Don't let those feline get you down. Subscribe to I Am Patty Jack today and show them who's boss. Because cats are assholes. Play me off, keyboard cat. Hey guys, how's it going? We are back from commercial. I hope you enjoyed those. I really did put a lot of effort into them.
He totally did.
Back with Ben and or Hangmanforhire, talking about Fallout 4 a bit more. So Ben wants to talk a bit more about, what was it again? I blanked completely as I was saying
I
that.
wanted to talk about how Fallout 4 pulled a Mass Effect 2.
It pulled a big number 2. It definitely did. So you mean how it's kind of deviated from being a classical RPG?
Yes, so there were a lot of changes that they made to the game, not inherently for the bad, but overall have left not the best impression with me. So some of the things that they removed from their games that had defined the previous Fallout titles, ever since Fallout 1, the skill point system had been integral to how the game functioned. Every time you would level up, you get a certain amount of points to allocate to your different skills. Mm-hmm. This was something that they got rid of in Fallout 4, and in its place they had implemented the perk system. Now, I was not against this initially. That being said, if you look at Skyrim's perk system, it isn't exactly very creative. It's just, hey, look, here's a bunch of percentage bonuses you can have. This is the reason why there were some mods on PC that were very popular that were perk overhauls that gave them a bit more definable, unique character builds. This is something that I expect is going to happen with Fallout 4 as well, now that the perks essentially are the only thing that define your character and how you play them.
So, yeah, what other ways do you think that it's a deviated, like, for the good or for the bad?
So, they did get rid of the karma system, which doesn't actually bother me that much.
I think it's way better now.
I was actually okay with the karma system in the way that New Vegas handled it, where it did have some impact on some of the questing, but your karma was just kind of there as an indicator rather than directly guiding what you could and couldn't do in the way that Fallout 3 did it, which I believe was actually a bad implementation. New Vegas' was better. They focused more heavily on the reputation system, which is basically what Fallout 4 tried to adapt to with the current factions, such as the Brotherhood of Steel, the Minutemen, the Railroad, the Institute, etc.
It's kind of all for naught in the story, which kind of sucks, but... Yeah, okay, how did they do it in Fallout 3 again? I didn't play that game as much as I did New Vegas, so I think I got through it once.
Was a lot more heavily dependent on your karma rather than any reputation just didn't exist. If you had good karma, they would have Talon mercenaries come after you and try to kill you. If you were bad karma, they would just try to have the regulators come after you. Eventually, you get a perk to join either faction if you got to a high enough level, but that's also including the fact that a lot of followers were directly locked off unless you had a certain karma. For example, Jericho in Fallout 3, he was in Megaton. You couldn't get him as a follower unless you had negative karma, evil karma. Fox, you could only get if you had positive karma. There was a robot, a Mr. Handy, you could recruit that I believe you could only get if you had neutral karma.
That's real. Like, I hate that, but I don't quite hate... Like, I agree that New Vegas did it way better. I don't know, because in this game it's a little weird that you can just recruit anyone whenever you want. I don't know. It feels like they try to let they try to let you do everything, and while it's nice to be able to do everything whenever I want to, I don't necessarily want the option for my character to do that, because it's like, oh, this should be difficult for my character, but it's not because I can also do this, right?
Right. So I think the end thing here, as far as the karma is concerned, is that it doesn't really bother me that they got rid of it, but I think they still could have implemented it more in line of the way that it was implemented in Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah, I think there's like an in between there personally, and maybe that'll be fixed with mods. Speaking of mods, what do you think of the future of the game with modding in the modding community, and how do you think that's going to go?
Honestly, something that I'm heavily expecting to happen over time is that people are going to try to use mods to re-implement some of the RPG mechanics that people are missing.
They've already put in the new dialogue system.
Well, exactly. And I don't want... This is not against anyone that plays it on the console version of the game. I'm not, bashing you or anything. But the PC version of the game, it is very clear that they just use the same sort of mechanics that were in the console version of the game.
That's a Bethesda thing in general.
The whole up, down, left, right system that they have in the game was clearly just to be there for the, A, B, X, Y buttons or the, X circle, square, triangle on the consoles, whereas the PC have a mouse cursor, and having lists is a much preferable solution. Now, you can still do button presses. There's already been a mod to get rid of the current dialogue system and replace it with the full sentences of what your response is going to be, so you know exactly what you're going to say.
I hate it.
And you can directly click on it, and it works fantastically.
In games like Mass Effect and games like Fallout and Dragon Age Inquisition, I hate having those one-word answers that lead into full sentences, because sometimes it's not what I want to say. Yeah, sometimes I come off like a sarcastic dick when I don't want to be. Maybe I don't want to help you, but I don't want to be a dick about it either, game. You gotta recognize that I need more to go on than just yes, no, or neutral dick. We need more than that.
I swear they were trying to just pull a card straight from like Dragon Age or Mass Effect, because almost every conversation option has sarcasm.
Yeah, and that's...
It's like they're trying to go with the Dragon Age Inquisition of the happy answer, the angry answer, the sarcastic answer. It's like almost every single dialogue in the game.
The weird thing about Bethesda is that while I do feel they make really great games that are really engaging, they're consistently at least 3 years behind everyone else when it comes to mechanics. Honestly.
Not just mechanics. If you're looking at mechanics, you'll get animations, you'll get the graphics. Yep. And the thing is, a lot of the new mechanics that they try to implement, they're not even getting some of the core stuff hammered out right. It's like you're looking at a game that was only halfway, 75% through its development, and that any sort of QA never really happened.
I feel like that. I feel like the game needed another year and a half.
The games always come out half polished.
That being said, how do you polish a game that big, though? Because MMOs don't have nearly as much interactivity. You can't go in and pick up every individual item, so they don't have to glitch test for that. Most of the things are static, right? So in a game, and in like a game like Witcher and stuff, it's much you might be able to wander around the world, but you're not able to loot every crate or loot every chest. Even like the little locations you find, they're not necessarily that interesting. You go there, you kill a few things, then you loot one or two chests that are there most of the time. So at the end of the day, there's less polish that goes into it. So while I feel that they needed more time, they're never going to fix everything in a game that's this big of scope. Wide as an ocean, shallow as a puddle. But it's just the way that those games are going to be now. I don't think that's ever going to be fixed.
Probably not. I think all we can really expect is now to tie this back into the whole question of the mods for the future thing. I think that a lot of people are going to be developing custom quests, and more than likely what's going to happen in these quests is they say, note, this mod requires the silent protagonist mod, which is already a thing. It just literally mutes your character, and so they basically tell you need to have the subtitles on so you can see what your character is saying, even though your character will not actually speak.
Yeah.
So that's definitely, okay, not definitely, but I'm very confident that's how these custom quest mods are going to be handled, because quests were a very big thing for Skyrim, Fallout New Vegas. The New Vegas bounties, for example, is one of my favorite mod quests ever. Mm-hmm. But to do that same sort of thing in Fallout 4 is going to require a bit of working around. I am expecting people to I wouldn't be surprised if someone tries to add extra areas to expand as far as the actual size, because to me, Fallout 4's map size feels... They say, because I remember them saying
it's about
that
the
it was...
same as...
They were trying to say it was around the same size as Skyrim, but to me it feels more about the size of...
Skyrim's map wasn't big, though. It was just vertical. Right? There was a lot of dungeons on the same mountain, just higher up.
This is true. So,
I don't know. Okay.
I think as far as mods are concerned, I'm sure the community, if they like the game enough, the community will allow it to thrive. And if the newest version of the GECK, which, the equivalent of the creation kit that was for Skyrim, is released to allow just as much functionality, if not more functionality than what was available in Skyrim, then I don't think people need to worry about the modding scene. The only concern I have, though, is whether or not this sort of thing is going to be still just as flexible as it was previously, now that Bethesda wants to try to implement BethesdaNet as a modding hub.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so in one or two sentences, what is your overall opinion on Fallout 4 to close it out? What do you think?
Summary of the game. Fallout 4 is a very fun action shooter. It's lost a lot in the way of its RPG aspects, but still definitely a good game to pick up for a solid playthrough.
All right, that's good. I think that it's lost a lot, but it's gained a few things along the way. I'm enjoying it. I've got 60 hours in the game apparently, so it's got to be doing something right. All the bitching we did, it's still a great game. So, hope you guys enjoyed listening to this. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, that would be fantastic. Follow me on Twitter @AngryPatty. Ben, do you want to plug yourself quickly? You got 10 seconds.
My name is Hangmanforhire. Maybe one day I'll make videos. Maybe I won't. If I do, there will be a link in the description.
Awesome. We will see you guys next time.